Hello everyone, welcome back to Kritika Mathur Astrology channel. Today's video is going to be about Mercury transit in the sign of Capricorn in a retrograde motion. Mercury will be moving in the sign of Capricorn on the 30th of December, and it will first be in the sign of Capricorn for 2 days, 29th and 30th, and then it will move to the sign of Sagittarius. So Mercury will be moving in the sign of Sagittarius, but in a retrograde motion right from 30th December until 7th Feb. Mercury will be in Sagittarius. Now, of course, from 30 December until the 18th January, it will be in Sagittarius retrograde motion. But from 18th January until 7th Feb, it will be in direct motion in the sign of Sagittarius itself. So this video will compile the results of Mercury being in Capricorn as well as Sagittarius. Sagittarius is of course a retrograde motion until 18th Jan, after which it turns direct. Mercury is going in this sign of Sagittarius. This means that in our Kundli, in our birth chart, we have 12 zodiac signs. Same like this, you can see it here. And now wherever the sign of Sagittarius is in your chart, now when you have all 12 zodiac signs in your Kundli, then you have Sagittarius also in your Kundli. You must be having Gemini also, you have Taurus also, you have Aquarius also. All zodiacs are there in your Kundli. There is one ascendant. So wherever Mercury is going, now it's going in Sagittarius but in a retrograde motion. So that effect will be seen amongst each one of us, because each one of us has Sagittarius in our Kundli somewhere or the other. Retrograde motion can be easily understood as a reverse motion of a planet, only it's not a real reverse motion. It is only a vision. It is only a belief that it looks like this planet is going reverse. It is very much similar to a car overtaking another car. It reflects as the other car is moving backwards, whereas in reality it is not. It is moving forward only. So this is the real meaning of retrogression, and this is how we should understand a planet, and we should understand how it's moving retrograde and what results it's going to bring is dependent on that. So if you do not know what is your ascendant, you can put your place, time, date of birth and full name in the comment section, and I'll inform you what is your ascendant. Based on that ascendant, you can watch this video. If your ascendant is Taurus, you can look it like that. If your ascendant is Virgo, you can watch the video according to that. Similarly, if your moon sign is Taurus or Virgo or Sagittarius or Aquarius or Aries, you can watch the video according to that as well. So I'll need your moon sign details. I'll need your place, time, date of birth and full name in the comment section. If you do not know what is your moon sign, or if you do not know what's your ascendant, then I'm going to guide you through, but do not watch this video according to your sun sign. Now I'm going to be going through all the ascendants to cover up the position of Mercury there. But in general, Mercury is a planet which denotes communication, travel, paperwork, documentation. It is a natural 6th house, so it denotes loans, diseases, debts, communication, travel, written and verbal communication, of course, both. So all of these areas will be negatively impacted. All of these areas will have to be rechecked, reconfirmed, because it's a planet which is retrograde motion. So if you've signed a document, you have to recheck if the document is correct or not. If you're traveling somewhere, then you have to recheck if you have your passport with you, if you have all the traveling documents with you, if you filled the form, immigration form correctly, if you're applying for a visa, a lot of formalities and paperwork is there. So you have to make sure that you fill in all the details correctly, you're well prepared. Similar to loan, debt, health related issues, you have to be very calculative, careful, so that you don't have to repeat these things again, so that you don't have to redo and put in the effort. So everything that you do, especially when you're dealing with electronics, you're buying electronics or you're selling electronics, you have to be very careful, because Mercury denotes communication. Any kind of communication device is denoted by Mercury. So all these areas of Mercury will be negatively impacted. Now you have to only take care while you perform any of these activities, and while you travel, or while you apply for a loan, while you want to buy a house or sell a house or buy a vehicle, for example. You have to be very careful. It's not that you cannot do it, but it's just that you have to rework everything, and you have to proofread everything before you actually go for it. Now I'll start with the ascendant wise prediction, starting with Aries. For Aries ascendant, if you're an Aries ascendant person, this is how your chart is going to look like, and Mercury will move through the sign of Sagittarius, will move to the 9th house. So for the Aries ascendant people, you have to be very careful while you travel. Plan your bookings, hotels, airlines, tickets, documents very, very carefully, so that you don't have to repeat them. Secondly, when you're doing any kind of investments, you have to be extremely careful. And thirdly, people who are going for any higher education, if they are students who have just completed their graduation and applying for a college, you have to be extremely careful when you fill out the applications. You have to be taking care where you're taking admission, which college it is, what kind of necessary documents are required, and all these things. You have to proofread everything again just to be sure. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Taurus. For Taurus ascendant, the transit is in the 8th house. For investments, it's a very good time, but again, you have to be very careful when you do any investment. You have to go through the documents carefully. You have to seek professional advice if you are doing any kind of investments. For student natives, it is a very good time. They will be benefited wherever they are studying. They might be learning a new skill, or they might be going to a new college. You will be feeling very close to your children as well. And along with that, you do have to double check areas which are related to investments and finances. Wherever you invest your money, how you keep your money, who you give your money, and who you take money from, especially the documentation part has to be very, very strong while Mercury is retrograde. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Gemini. For Gemini ascendant, the transit in the 7th house, and this is how your chart is going to look like if you are a Gemini ascendant person. So if you're a Gemini ascendant person, if you are starting off any business, you have any contract dealings to make, you have to if you're getting married as well, if you have to sign anything which includes also your marriage certificate, you have to pay extreme attention and focus on those documents, because it is possible that you make a mistake while signing these documents or going through these documents. Read these documents as a third person. Sometimes we read the documents because we know them on the back of our mind. We know what we are reading. If you are reading the word construction, even if the C is missing, we are going to read it as construction. But when Mercury is retrograde, you have to pay double focus on what you read, how you read. Anything can be wrong, anything can be a misprint or absent from the contracts. You have to be very careful. Again, also you have to take care of your skin rashes that might come along. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Cancer. For Cancer ascendant people, the transit of Mercury retrograde is in the 6th house. Pay a lot of attention when you travel. You can miss your tickets. You can leave your passport in the house also when Mercury is retrograde. Sudden travel plans can be made, which are fine, but again, you have to be very careful while implementing. You don't leave your passport home. Make sure all your documentations are correct. Make sure you check the flight of the time of the flight. You check the date of the flight. All these documentation should be correct. Make sure if you have to register somewhere, then that is correct also. For Cancerians, if it's your ascendant, then you also have to make a particular routine, be fixed on the routine, so that you don't miss out on your important daily activities. Any kind of health related issue, if you have, then you have to put in a lot of attention. If you have been going through any health issues, then that problem will be solved during this time, and avoid any surgeries. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Leo. For Leo ascendant people, this is how your chart is going to look like, and your transit of Mercury in the sign of retrograde will be in the 5th house. This means that if you are ascendant when you're born, the sun was rising, ascendant sign was rising, was Leo. This is where you got, this is how you got your ascendant of Leo. So if it is transiting in your 5th house, then issues related to children have to be paid a lot of attention to. Your children might be sick, or children need your attention. If you're a student native, you want to learn and you're trying to focus on your studies, you might face some challenges over there. As a creative person, if you're redesigning, you have to design an artwork. If you're a graphic designer, or if you are into any creative field, you might have to redo your artwork. Also, there are possibilities that your ex-lovers may come back during this time period, in which case you should be totally active and focusing on them, and then you should decide whether you should keep them in your life or not once the retrograde is over. And for the dates, you can check out the introductory part of the video. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Virgo. For Virgo ascendant, the transit of Mercury is in the 4th house. This is how your chart is going to look like. In case you're planning to buy a property or sell a property, be very careful in the documentation part. Do not make any hasty decisions. If you are planning to buy a vehicle, be very careful on the documentation part as well. You do have to take care of your health, especially if you have any chronic illnesses, and cough, flu, influenza related and skin related problems can come up with you as well. So do take care of that also, and do take care of your mother's health as well. You have to be very careful on the words that you use when you're communicating with your mothers. The words can backfire later on. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Libra. For the Libra ascendant people, this transit of Mercury is in the 3rd house. This is how your chart is going to look, and Mercury is moving to the 3rd house. So if your ascendant is Libra, then you have to be careful on the way that you communicate, whether it's a written email or the verbal communication, but you still have to be very, very sure of how you say and to who you say the things. Along with that, we can see some short journeys, short travels, but do plan these travels very well. You will also be able to meet your old friends, colleagues, and it is a time, it's a fun-filled time also with you, where you're going to connect with the cousins, neighbors, people that are your very close connection, very close bond you have with those people. You're going to meet them again, so it's a happy time for you. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Scorpio. For Scorpio ascendant people, this transit is in your 2nd house. This is how your chart is going to look, and Mercury, you can see, is moving to your 2nd house in the sign of Sagittarius in a retrograde motion. You cannot take your words back, so you have to be careful on how you speak, who you speak, what content you speak to the person. At your financials and your family relations, you have to take extreme care. Do not let any finance theft happen to you. Do not sign on any wrong documents while dealing with your finances. Be careful on how you communicate with your family members, because the words, as I said, do not come back. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Sagittarius. For Sagittarius ascendant people, this transit is in the 1st house, and this is how your chart is going to look. Mercury is moving to the sign of Sagittarius, which is your 1st house. Now Mercury, what is going to do is that it is going to make sure that you communicate very well with anyone and everyone. Marriage relationships and relationships in general have to be taken care of, especially the way that you connect and understand them, because there are chances that you can misunderstand your spouse or misunderstand your loved ones. Along with that, if you have a job in hand, try to avoid signing the job offer or signing any contracts before the 18th of January. Take care of your health also, and you can get a makeover done during this time, but you have to be careful. Suppose you want to change your hair color and all, so you should think about it. You should communicate that to your beautician, but do not implement it until the Mercury is retrograde. You can check the dates at the beginning of this video. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Capricorn. If you're a Capricorn ascendant person, this transit is in the 12th house. Subconscious level have to be worked. There can be some dreams which are uncontrollable dreams of people who have passed away or people who have left you. So any psychological issues can be expected. Travel plans can be expected as well. Some expenses can also happen during this time, especially on gadgets or your aunts and uncles. All of these areas have to be proofreaded and rechecked. For example, if you are spending, you have to check the bill, you have to see what kind of products to buy. Try avoiding to buy any gadget until the Mercury is retrograde. For the dates, you can check the first half of this video. In the summary part, I have mentioned what are the dates that Mercury is going to be retrograde. Try and do some kind of pranayam or meditation practices because of your psychological issues. Coming to the next ascendant, which is Aquarius. For Aquarius ascendant people, if your ascendant is Aquarius, this is how your chart is going to look like, and this is where the Mercury is transiting, which is in your 11th house. Some people who have left you, your ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-friends or old friends can come back to you, and it's going to be a socially active month for you. You're going to meet a lot of people this month and they will be beneficial for you. For investments, this month is good, but again you have to be very careful about the numbers, the documentation involved in any kind of investment activities. You can also try and work on some new projects that you can get at your workplace, and you'll be able to complete those projects. The only thing is you have to be very careful with the paperwork, any kind of documentation that you're dealing with, any visa applications, any home related applications, loan related applications, any kind of work which involves documentation or communication, written and verbal, have to be kept under check, because there are chances that you might commit a mistake there, because of which you might have to redo everything. Coming to the last ascendant, which is Pisces. For Pisces, this transit is in the 10th house, and Mercury is transiting in retrograde motion in your 10th house. So if you're getting any job or any contracts, you have to avoid signing off that contract before 18th of January. Of course, if it's urgent, then you will have to do it, but otherwise, so any kind of job offer or contracts should not be signed. If you are getting a job, there are chances that there was a job which you had and it was taken away, and now is the time when you can again get that job back. Same with the relationships. Old relationships can come back to you as well. Be very careful while making any kind of financial investments or any kind of investments in general. All kind of documentations and written and verbal communications must be kept under check. Your colleague or boss can leave the organization, because of which you can feel a bit mentally disturbed also. So we have covered all the ascendants. If you do not know your ascendant, you can go down to the comment section and you can put down your place, time, date of birth and full name, and I'll get back to you informing what your ascendant is. One important thing to understand is that Mercury is transiting in the sign of Sagittarius in retrograde motion in each and every person's chart, not just Sagittarius ascendants. So Sagittarius is only one ascendant. We all have Sagittarius in some or the other place in our birth chart, and that is how Kundlis are formed. Here is another video which will explain everything about astrology and how do we see a Kundli or a birth chart, and that's going to make things very clear for you. If you haven't subscribed my channel, go ahead and subscribe and tap the bell to get regular notifications from my channel. I'm going to be very soon back with another video. Thank you so much for watching.